Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about DeOrr Kunz Jr. DeOrr went missing from Leodore or near Leodore, Idaho on July 10th of 2015 when his parents took him out camping, and it was like rough camping, like dispersed camping, like rustic, no bathrooms, no running water, anything like that. It was just like a picnic bench, and there may have been like a dumpster. So it was that kind of situation. He went with what would have been his great grandfather and a friend of the great grandfather. His name was Isaac Renoir. Okay, and he was young, in his 30s, the friend of the grandfather, who used to be like a neighbor, and him and the grandfather were both like outdoorsy folk, so they jumped at the opportunity when they were invited. So this was like impromptu, like it was like like a spur of the moment trip that the parents wanted to take. So they arrived July 9th. They arrived at night. They took 2 vehicles, okay? And the next day on the 10th. Now, before they got there, like on the way there, they stopped at a grocery store to get food, right? That was the 9th. And then, they got to the location at nighttime. The next day, the mother needed like feminine hygiene products or whatever. And then her and the father supposedly took the baby to the store, where it said that she never even bought the things that she needed, nor did she get them the night before. So, and no one saw the baby, from what I understand, either time that they went to the store. So neither on the way there or on the 10th did anybody see the baby with them. Okay, if I'm correct, specifically on the 10th, and nobody saw the baby. It says, the next day, which would have been the 10th, the parents wanted to explore and were shown a fishing spot by the great-grandfather's friend, Isaac. It says they were only gone for a minute, and somehow the baby vanished without a trace. Everyone has looked for me, and this is being read in his person. Everyone has looked for me, but it's been quite a while and no one has found me. And so that's the story. So I got psychic impressions, and then I did a Kipper spread, as you can see, and then I did a couple true crime spreads on this. So I've been trying to pull in this energy for like a week and a half now, a couple weeks. And I never heard of the story at all, which is surprising because they say it's one of the most bizarre missing persons cases, or at least, children in the country, but I never heard of it. And so I was happy to take a look. All right. So I did take some notes here. And basically looking at the spread, to me, it's kind of self-explanatory. And it basically speaks to the parents giving the baby away, selling the baby. I believe that they sold the baby, and the camping trip was a cover story, and that they paid somebody on that trip to claim that they saw the baby there. Okay, I think that's what the false person is about. And what else do I have here? The concern that somebody was paid. And the concern was that, we have to keep our stories together. And the only person that was able to keep their story together was Isaac, was the friend of the grandfather. His story was the only one that didn't change, and his story is believed by law enforcement. There is a history of like 2 PIs being involved with the case. One has prior law enforcement experience. One was fired, the other one quit. Both believe that the parents are lying. The parents failed or showed deception on multiple polygraph tests that were administered, and they were named suspects, but were never arrested. So the baby, they claim that the baby was wearing pajamas and oversized, mind you, the baby's 2 at the time, oversized cowboy boots on a 2-year-old in rugged terrain, right? For some reason, he thought that was cute. And then, the pajamas, and then the camo jacket They found that camo jacket when the parents were evicted from their apartment. So you claim that the baby had that on that day, and how could you like mistake that when it's supposed to be one of the most traumatic days of your life? You know, your child going missing out in the wild, but you somehow mistook like what he was wearing. You know, was it a mistake or was it a slip up? You know, so there's quite a few issues. It's just so obvious to me. And just a quick rant about this is that for some reason the system is allowing people to either filicide their kids or sell them or give them away. And we see these cases and these poor babies, like the children are always falling through the cracks. There's no real advocacy for the children. Searches are being called off prematurely. No Amber Alerts. You know, the parents are looking hella suspicious, but it never goes any further than that. And here we have defenseless babies that can't even talk, could never defend themselves, could never hold anybody off of them, are just being disappeared. And nothing is happening to these parents. Nothing. Now, this couple, they both had children prior to getting together. I guess they were like high school sweethearts. She had 2 daughters that were living with the father of those daughters, and not with her. And he had also a daughter who it wasn't clear whether she was living with him. But, you know, they came together, had the baby together. Clearly, they weren't doing good financially, because she said that, you know, the girls were with their father because she was having a hard time getting a job. And supposedly she was working for her grandfather as a home health aide. And which makes me wonder, like, why would you, if you guys are strapped for money, if something is going on, like financially, how could you take like a trip that's, you know, way out of the way? You know, we're talking about like, he's got like a pickup truck, right? So you're talking about gas, you know, a good amount of gas. Then you're buying supplies. She's working part-time, or I don't know, it sounds like she's working part-time. You have a baby. You both have children that aren't living with you, additional to the baby. And then you're teetering on eviction, like, you know, so there were clearly, it sounds like to me there were money issues and they were biting off more than they can chew. And now this was back in 2015, so this is not recent, but I think this has been a thing, you know, people just like selling their kids. They sell them to cults, to Satanists. They sell them to witch doctors because they know these children are going to be sacrificed, and they think it's going to bring them some kind of good luck. I did a case in Texas, which I'm going to recap at some point, of a beautiful little boy down there went missing from a house full of relatives. And nobody claims to know what happened to the boy, and he wasn't even big enough to get out the door on his own. So, you know, people are doing this to their children, and this is like being normalized, and it's so frustrating and angering, you know, to me, that, you know, this is a thing, and people are just getting away with like discarding their children, discarding human beings, when they don't have to do it that way. They don't have to go that route. But I think for people that are hard up for money, they're selling their children into these dark arts and dark industries of organ trafficking and God knows whatever else. And I believe that this is actually what happened, is that they sold him. But I'll get into the impression shortly. So let's go on to the next spread. So in this true crime spread, we see taken into an underground base or city for a ritual via underground tunnels. Now, it could be that, or it could be, metaphorically speaking, just like the dark world underground, you know what I mean? So like underground, just the procession of that industry being, you know, closeted or just like underground. So it could be either or, a physical place, or just like, you know, just the dark industry itself and how we look at it. Also arranged, premeditated, and planned. 3 to 6, those numbers are significant. Members involved, or, you know, it could have been that was, the amount of people that were present at the trade-off, at the sale of the child, allegedly, or who handled the child after the child was handed over, DeOrr. Then we have south and southeast as directional points. Those points may be significant to anyone that's doing any in-depth level of research into this case. A bad relationship or marriage used in a snuff film is also, that kind of thing is associated with the underground, these dark underground industries. And we see child victimization, child abuse scenarios, and child trafficking. Also domestic violence situations, members of the household included, domestic partner included as well, or involved. My death scene was staged, or the death narrative or the disappearance narrative was staged, meaning it was fabricated, which is what, pretty much what I picked up. And then buried, ultimately buried. So take whatever resonates, whatever makes sense to you, and let's move on to the next spread. So in this spread, as suspected, wealthy individuals are or were involved, which is typical when children are being purchased, because it's usually wealthy people that are making those kinds of moves, whether it's organs trade or the SEX trade, or it's a cult, like it's in some sort of organized group of people. There's usually money involved, people pulling strings, and that sort of thing. It's a completely organized operation when it comes down to the theft of children. I am a permanent abductee, which means, permanent abductees normally die in custody when they are, or they transition in custody when they are being held. Those closest to me were involved. Another confirmation for my psychic impression, definitely yes. It was a confirmation that this is happening, or this has happened, excuse me. And it says I come to my family in dreams as well, and I think that's a confirmation for that, because I think that when I get into the impression in a quick moment, that's going to resonate with me, because I come to my family in dreams. So I feel like there's like a vengeance in that. So let's go ahead and get into the psychic impressions. So I received an impression and then I connected. Okay. So the impression was of the baby as he was as a 2-year-old. And what I got from the situation with him is that he passed instantly. There was no physical trauma, but the word kidney is like superimposed on him, and I see him around. I see him like his background. It's not that he's encased in golden white light, because we know what that is. We know that's love and that's healing. But I see him in a flat white space, and for me, normally when I get that indicates a confusion and unsettled and unresolved. Just a state of confusion, or a state of like, it's like a stasis. It's like when somebody's in a stasis, they're just in a stillness, and there's emotional unresolved. It's like they're just stuck, right? So that's the impression. Plus there was like this indication of like medication. So first I was thinking, well, he must have come into contact with a medication that's used to treat like kidney disease, and like the hardcore narcs for kidney disease that can be used is fentanyl, along with some other drugs. And because I didn't see any physical trauma, I was like, oh, okay, he was exposed to a hardcore drug, because like even now talking about it, I can taste that heavy, nasty medication in my mouth. I can taste it. And so that's the impression. Also the impression was that he was never at the campsite at all. He was never at the campsite. And the reason it took me a while to make the video is because I wanted to vet my impression. I wanted to vet what I was getting, and I wanted to go over and really fill it through and make sure that I was understanding and reading this correctly. So he So he transitioned sometime before he was reported. And I noticed that this is a thing too, like with baby Sabrina Eisenberg, I believe the little girl that was allegedly murdered in Florida, the infant. She was 5 months old, the week of Thanksgiving, 1997. I believe she was murdered like days before they reported her missing. There's another one, like Lily and Jack in Nova Scotia. I believe that they were picked up before they were reported missing, like at least a day or two before they were reported missing. Same thing with this little guy. I feel like he passed away at least a few days before they reported him missing. And I think that they do that to cover their tracks and to gain, like in the case of, not to divert, because this is like DeOrr's reading, but like in the case of Lily and Jack, from what I saw, they were picked up and they were taken out of their province and they're being taken someplace. The reason you would wait a couple of days, I'm assuming, is because they need to get through like certain checkpoints. You know what I mean? They need to get through spaces without being recognized as missing. So I picked up that he was in a residential space. He was not outside. Okay, he was not outside. This happened prior to them reporting him missing. So let me get into me connecting with him. So when I connect with him, he's like 19, 20, 21 years old. So he's a late teen young man at this time. And his hair is dark, so he lost his blonde hair. He's got a real warrior energy. Like he is not with the nonsense with this. And when he comes to me, he's like perplexed. He's not unaware of what happened. He just doesn't know why he was betrayed. So he's perplexed, and there's a great deal of personal anguish. Great deal of personal anguish as to why they would do this to him, allegedly. He's confused and not amused at all at this. Confused and not amused. Okay, so I get that warrior vengeance, like seeking justice type of energy, and the cards that say definitely yes, I come to them in dreams because he can do that, and he's likely like messing with them or like, you know, pressing them with this because he can do that. You know, like haunting somebody in their sleep or haunting somebody's life. Because seeing him, that impression of him with that white, in that white space and that white plane behind him, means stagnation. It means he's in a stasis, he's still. And as a result, this guy has, I'm referring to him as a guy because like he's coming to me as an adult. This guy is like no joke. Like had the world known him, he would have been a non-bullshit, you know, type of person. Non-bullshit at all. And he's really like, oh, these motherfuckers tried me. Like, I can't believe they did this to me. Who the fuck do they think they are? Like I am not with the fuck shit, you know? Pardon the language, but that's the energy I'm getting from him, is that he's like an alpha. I should have just said that. He's an alpha and he's not with the fuck shit, literally. And so when I say he's perplexed or he's confused, it's like, who did they think they were to do this? Like, how is it their decision? What made it their decision? And don't tell me because you gave birth to me. Like, you can't do this to people, you know, is his attitude. You can't do this and think that, like, this is not okay and you're not going to be okay. So that's like his attitude. It's like he's like he's got this warrior spirit. Okay, so we got that. And that's how he's coming to me. Like, he just feels angry and wronged that this happened to him. And it reminds me of Chance Engelbert's energy as well. It reminds me of Chance when I did his reading, his original reading, not the recap reading, but in the original reading that I did for Chance, same thing. Disgusted, offended, like disgusted and offended. Like, how dare you do this to me? And that's the energy that I'm getting for him But like I said, he grew out of his blonde hair, and he only would have been what he would have been like. I'm not sure how old he wouldn't be 20 at this point, right? Because that was 2015. He was 2. He'd only be 12. But I'm seeing him as a younger adult. And so, well, in the spirit realm and in the spirit world, you can project yourself however you feel is appropriate for whatever's happening, for whatever interaction. And I'm getting him as a 19, 20, 21-year-old, and he's fully brunette. So he's grown out of the blonde. But yeah, he's got a fierce warrior spirit, and he is not okay with what happened. I mean, I feel like he wants justice. Like he wants justice, but it's like personal. Like he wants to get his justice his way. It's not like, I don't get the feeling like he's looking for somebody else to get it for him. It's like he's on a mission. Like he wants to, he wants this himself. He wants to get it himself. But this is like a no bullshit type of energy. But yeah, it's like really frustrated, really like disgusted at what happened, because he can't even like be at peace. Like when I got the impression, he was not at peace. It was just a stillness, and whatever they did to him, whoever did it to him, like when he was passed on, I don't feel like they kept him for long, but they must have taken his kidneys, and that tasted, that like the medication in my mouth, it must have been, they probably just overdosed him, because they take the organs while he's alive. So they would drug him, like keep him on a drip while they're doing this, while they take what they need. And then they would just let him succumb, from the medication, probably just euthanize them when they were done doing what they were doing. Allegedly. Okay. Allegedly. But yeah, that's what I'm getting. So, so I did connect. The energy information was pretty strong. I did call on him a while ago. Well, it was a while for me, a week and a half ago. And so he may give me more information. I may be back with another reading, because sometimes, they trickle in information. Sometimes they hang around when they have more to say. So I may be back, but for now, this is the reading. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, for liking the video. Thank you for supporting the video by liking it and commenting and subscribing. And again, this is for DeOrr Kunz Jr. And let's send them some positive energy. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.